Hi, this is the intro to portrait editing or just editing in general in PhotoPea or PhotoPea, however you want to pronounce it. This web-based sort of version of Photoshop. So it looks pretty similar to Photoshop. If you're familiar with Photoshop and you look around, you'll be like, looks familiar. So this will open up a variety of files. We can open up raw files. We can open up Photoshop files, as well as JPEGs and any other image file. Today, we're going to go ahead and go File, open up our picture. And when you're opening up your image, it might take a little while because you're probably working off of Wi-Fi and a Chromebook and things are just going to be slow. So you just have to have patience. There we go. And you'll notice while this loads, what we'll see is toolbar, our panels over here, our layers, and our menu bar up here, just like in Photoshop. So what we want to take a look at is our histogram. Here we're going to notice that there's a little bit of a gap. So like our black values in the picture aren't deep as they could be. And then we're seeing this kind of reading as a lighter gray. So we might bring that down a bit. The shirt's a little bright, so we're going to try focusing on bringing the shirt and bringing back more detail in the shirt as well. The exposure is a little too light because this dark area threw off the exposure. And we'll see in our histogram that we have some clipping. So that's what's affecting this area here. So we have our highlights, our light areas in the picture, midtones, and then our shadows down here. All right, so let's go ahead and do a adjustment layers were normally over here, but in this PhotoPea, they don't have them there. So we're just going to do new adjustment layer, and we're going to do levels to start off with and do some just basic adjustments. And then we'll try out curves. So here, my dark values, I'm just going to drag that over to the quote unquote bottom of the little value mountain. And again, if you click on the eyeball, you get a before and after. So it's before, after. So you're just seeing a slightly darker value. I'm not going to touch the highlights here. And it looks like it's actually spiking, but there's like a tiny little gap. So we may not be clipping. And then here we have our midtones. So I'm going to bring them down a little because I actually want that background to be a bit darker. Ooh, maybe a little too dark because it's affecting our skin tones as well. But we're going to make it maybe somewhere there. So now we're seeing a bit darker in the background. It's reading more like black rather than gray. So that's levels, easy peasy. I'm going to turn that off. And now we're going to do a curves adjustment. So new adjustment layer, curves. Here we go, similar thing. You're just going to bring that value in just like we did on the levels. And then here, I want to try to bring the information down for the shirt a little bit. So I'm going to play with that. And then I want to create a little bit of an S curve to add some contrast. So I'm going to make 2 points. I want the background values to be darker. And then I'm going to bring this up a little bit so skin tones are still lighter. So, because we want our subject to feel like they're glowing. All right, let's do before and after and see. So you see there's a subtle amount of contrast added to our picture. Looks more contrasty. Let's see if we can bring this down a little more to darken that background. And here. It's a little bit too much, maybe. But you should be starting to get the idea. So you just kind of play with these until you get the look. Just make sure it remains natural, because if things get too inverse, they start to look weird. So really play around with it. All right, so next we're going to be retouching our image.